Hi, I'm John Steffi. Here's a Bible verse from Proverbs 14. Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. Did you know that farming is the single largest industry in the world? Yet millions of people who grow our food in other parts of the world are not earning enough to feed themselves or their families at all times. And so, what I'd like to talk about briefly here with you is a format for businesses and consumers to participate in that aims to prevent things like exploitation, child slavery, and instead support small farmers, farm workers, and their communities through economic opportunity. It is called fair trade. What is fair trade? Fair trade is a certification that farmers and producers can get in conjunction with importers and buyers and manufacturers to ensure that those goods are, you know, produced with ethical standards that protect the most vulnerable, and that living wages are paid and that abuse is prevented, and a portion of money from every transaction on those products goes back to the farm workers and their communities. So, how does fair trade intersect with our faith? Well, we are very blessed here in the United States with basic protections for workers from laws that govern human rights. Canada and many European countries have similar laws. But in third world countries or emerging countries, the absence of some of those laws or the absence of a structure to protect human rights, along with a culture of corruption and abuse of power, that can make it easy for the powerful and the greedy to take advantage of the poor and of the desperate, many of whom work in agriculture. Fair trade provides a framework for buyers and consumers to make an impact on the lives of others through their purchasing choices. Will this purchase unknowingly further injustice? Will this purchase actively support God's children in another part of the world through supporting the dignity of their work? That's what fair trade's about. Loving our neighbor and standing against oppression are certainly biblical. So, as some of you know by now, I work in the produce industry, and a few years ago, I had the opportunity to travel to Ecuador to visit a cooperative made of small farmers that grow for the Equal Exchange Fair Trade banana brand. And seeing firsthand the amount of labor it takes to produce this fruit that we take for granted, it was striking. But what was even more striking was hearing the stories of farm workers on these banana farms that we got to visit that were able to send their kids to school, to get the medical and dental care they needed, and to invest in their homes through these fair trade programs. Things that weren't always possible when they worked on other farms and plantations for the same product. So, in the fair trade model, banana producers have a minimum price that protects them from unscrupulous traders, and in addition, a $1 per box premium is paid by the importer and essentially passed along to the consumer across the 40 pounds of the box. And that money goes back to the farm worker and their communities through projects and investments that they get to vote on, and sometimes bonuses that help improve their lives. In Ecuador, I got to see schools that were built for farming communities in rural areas to teach their students. I got to see trade schools that were funded by fair trade monies to provide vocational training, along with health clinics in these rural villages. It was really powerful to see. And then here in April, I had another opportunity to travel to Tucumán, which is a province in Argentina, along the foothills of the Andes Mountains, where during the summertime, they're in peak season with their lemon production when California is in their low time of production. And the company I worked for last year, we helped Zamora Citrus, a grower there that we visited, we helped them become the first certified fair trade lemon grower in Argentina. And so during this trip, we got to see how, for the first time, they were able to use fair trade premiums, those monies collected, in the case of the lemons, 80 cents per 40-pound box, was paid separate from the cost of goods, and that money was able to be used for the workers in their communities. And so some of the projects that we got to see, we got to visit the homes of some of these farm workers and see how they were able to use money to invest in home improvement projects. For example, one family got to paint their house, another family put actual flooring inside a child's bedroom. The rest of that house is dirt. And other homes with built galleries, which would be covered porches outside to create new living area for their family. And in the city, where the packing house workers live, those workers were able to get bonuses at Christmas time to help them pay for Christmas gifts and food for their families during a time of 100 to 300% inflation in Argentina. It was really neat. So, as consumers, what should we look for some of these products? Well, these are 3 fair trade certifications, and if you see these on products like imported produce from third world countries, coffee, chocolate and cocoa, textiles and crafts, then you know that your purchase is supporting fair trade. And just a little recap here, the Bible reminds us to break the fetters of injustice. It talks about that in Isaiah. It reminds us in Matthew to live the golden rule. And in Deuteronomy, it talks about not abusing the destitute laborer. And when people are in a desperate economic situation, they can often be taken advantage of, and fair trade products seek to prevent that. Thank you.